All right, guys, what another awesome weekend of fights. Now, the first thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, that we wanted to talk about together, was why I think Edson Barboza should retire, even though he just came off a phenomenal, the fight in the fighter, my sort of favorite fight win. Then I want to talk to you guys about how, once again, Michael Bisping proved he might be the worst commentator in all of sports. And lastly, how the entire MMA media got duped into following celebrity boxing again. It is so funny to watch them keep falling for it. Guys, let's start off right at the top. The first thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was Edson Barboza's amazing performance. If you guys have been watching this channel for a minute, you know that I love the fight in the fighter. And we didn't see anything else from Edson Barboza other than the fight in the fighter. He proved why he is a vet. A gatekeeper feels like such a hard word to say for him, but my God, he might be one of the hardest challenges for up-and-coming fighters there is. And now, having that sort of legacy and name built around him, guys, I don't want to see Edson Barboza go the same rate as Jose Aldo or so many other legends in this sport that we have seen. Like, Edson Barboza has now got himself a nice 2-fight winning streak. That fight was a gutsy fight. He was 10-8'd in the first round. He came back and won it. He won it fair and square, and like some people might call robbery, but you know, I think they're wrong. I think a lot of people are seeing what Edson did and know that he deserves that win. But now I want to see him have a sort of Robbie Lawler-esque retirement. And this is the part where I want to hear back from you guys the most, because I am certain that I want to see Edson retire after this fight. I don't think it can get any better for him. Do you guys see Edson Barboza winning a championship in the next 2 or 3 years? I don't. Maybe there'll be a Glover Teixeira moment, but maybe there won't be. And it's funny, actually, talking about Glover, he fits into this so perfectly. I want to see a Edson Barboza, Robbie Lawler-esque retirement, and I want to see it happen in Vegas, the home of fighting. Speaking of Glover, I don't think the Brazilian fans deserve to see Edson Barboza retire in case he loses that fight. I don't think he deserves to be, like, he might want to do it in Brazil, but look at the way the Brazilian fans treated Glover Teixeira after he gave us a war. He left everything in that cage, and Glover retired to an empty stadium. That's not love and respect from the fans. And I want Edson Barboza to receive that sort of love and respect from the fans. And I think if you put him as the main event of the prelims, just like they did with Robbie Lawler, and set him up with a nice fight, a nice winnable fight. I don't think we should give him like a can on their debut in the UFC. But guys, put a name down there in the comments. Like, if you were building a prelims card on a pay-per-view event and Edson Barboza versus who as the retirement fight? And if Edson loses it, we can still play that awesome montage on the screen of the arena and send him out properly. But if he wins, it would be even better. And I think that would be amazing for the fans. I just don't want to see them do it in Brazil. You know, like, what happens if Edson loses that fight on the prelims? Is everyone going to go up and take a piss and wait for the pay-per-view to start? I don't know. Maybe leaving a retirement fight as the very last fight of the card is it was the problem that happened in Brazil with Glover Teixeira. I don't know. But I want to see Edson retire because he is at the top of his game. I don't see him getting any better. And, you know, that was a close. Other referees would have had Edson out there in the first round. And I know Dominic Cruz was so happy to let him keep fighting. And I was happy to let him keep fighting as well. But Dominic Cruz's bias, like the fact that he lost a championship because he fairly lost a championship, will never be forgotten, guys. But speaking of Dominic Cruz, let's talk about Michael Bisping again. Michael Bisping once again proved why he might be the worst commentator to have on the UFC desk. Did you hear Michael Bisping scoring for those last rounds? Right now, Michael Bisping's commentary, if you actually sat down and took notes of it, right, he would have given the first round as a 10-7 for Yusuff and 10-9 for round 2 to Yusuff would have won that fight, like blown Edson Barboza out of the waters. Get Michael Bisping away from the microphone. He does himself no favors. And then even when he said that he would have given it to Yusuff, he was, as he was saying it, he was saying on the microphone that people on the internet and people on Twitter and the shit talkers like myself are going to be giving him trash for saying something like that. Well, Michael, they give you trash for saying these trash things because they are trash things, mate. You are speaking to ESPN. You are speaking to the entire audience. That is going to go down in the replay. Every time we go back to watch that fight, to watch Yusuff in his next fight, we're going to go back and watch the mistakes he made in the Barboza fight. We're going to have to listen to Bisping just talking absolute dribble during the fight, it like doesn't just ruin the experience on the night, it ruins the experience going forward into every replay. Thank you, Michael Bisping, for always being there to do that. Unbelievable. And guys, just to wrap up what was a great weekend of fights, even though that card wasn't exactly sold as the strongest card, it was going up against another event that wasn't MMA related at all, which was weird because if you go to the MMA Instagram pages, MMA Twitter pages, if you go to MMA commentators, it was a fight that you would have heard about relentlessly, non-stop, all week. Some of the live platforms that usually do commentary for the MMA were doing commentary for the boxing. Logan Paul versus Dylan Dennis. And guess what? It turned out to be a piece of shit, boring card like it always is. These influencer boxing cards, I understand that you guys need the clicks. If I put the word Logan Paul in the title of this video, it's going to get more clicks than it usually does. But God, guys, it's just a scam. It's not a scam. It's a gimmick. It's a show. It's not competitive. It's just bullshit. It is honestly just embarrassing to watch. Like, Logan Paul was walking around like a champion, like he had done it, like he had won a world title. He couldn't put away a jiu-jitsu guy. He couldn't put away a guy that wasn't throwing punches back. It's like, I know the boxers say that it's embarrassing for MMA fighters that we can't go in there and get a win. It's embarrassing for boxers. It's embarrassing for Tommy Fury that he can't put away a YouTuber and has to get it to a decision that people on Twitter are talking about as a robbery. Like, if I'm scrolling through MMA media and I'm seeing that KSI, that's his name, KSI, got robbed, Tommy Fury is embarrassed. That's embarrassing. You come from like a line of boxing, like nobility, and you can't put away some YouTuber. It's embarrassing for your sport, and it's embarrassing for the MMA media to keep following this around like little puppies for clicks. Like, it's not our sport, guys. If you want to follow boxing and do boxing commentary, do it. Like, go nuts. But that's not our sport. I don't want to go to MMA Junkie and have boxing. I want to go to MMA Junkie and look at the highlights of the prelims and the commentary on the prelims that's happening at the time. I'm watching the prelims, right? And I'm watching MMA. And MMA just proved this weekend why even on one of our shittest cards, on one of our worst cards, we just do it better at the UFC. It just does it better. That's why I'm always arguing for a strong UFC, because you get good matchmaking and reliable cards, and you don't get this clown show that would have. If all the fighters were independent fighters, you just end up with this clown show, and boxing is just proving it again and again and again. Guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. How would you set up Edson Barboza's career? In my mind, I see I've got one fight left, maybe 2 or 3 fights left. So I want to see him in a retirement fight. Who would you rack him up against in a retirement fight? And the second thing, what do you think of the MMA media just following boxing around like little lapdogs? Like, each time a influencer fights a MMA fighter in boxing, just leave it be. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, maybe consider clicking subscribe right down there, and I'll see you all in the next one.